Well, this is our talk on unboxing the Technology Sandbox, and the crowd is very paltry, in the room at least. But online, I hope there's many people. We're not going to do a typical presentation. Instead, what we're going to do is really go through what the Sandbox is and what resources are available, and also kind of like demos of certain projects. And just for those online, and if you're here, you can kind of see the URL. It's sandbox.edre.ucla.edu, and this is open to the public. Anyone can go here and check out whatever posts we've made and tutorials as well as tools. So you notice on the top bar here, there's a project menu item. There's tutorials that we've created. There's what is a sandbox in case you want kind of in-person consultation. There's Meet the Sandboxers, and there's tools. Before going further, I just want to explain that the Sandbox is a kind of cross-departmental UCLA service. There's no kind of one department affiliation. We work with across different groups. And there's two components to it. There's a visualization component, and then there's the kind of GIS mapping component. And so I'm more of on the mapping side, which I have dabbled on some visualization aspects. Especially when I say visualization, I mean 3D modeling and kind of like that type of architecture-like thing. But the GIS is my main focus, and that's like the mapping aspect. And so most of the projects I'm familiar with are usually dealing with maps in some capacity, whether it's a web map that's online or a offline, like kind of cartographically fine-looking map. So yeah, those are the main things that goes on in the Sandbox. But there's a lot of people that come in. They're either PhD students, master students, or other faculty and staff, and they work on their own projects because we have really good computers down there. So essentially, we are really a resource for the campus to be utilized. So where the Sandblog fits in the picture is it kind of agglomerates all the knowledge and all the different types of academic stuff that we go through. As the year progresses, this blog is actually quite new, so about almost a year old. And there's resources that kind of give you a picture of what's leading edge in terms of what we're exploring. So, for example, there's this Google Spreadsheets to JSON, which if you're not a tech person, you may kind of see this as Greek. But what this is essentially you're able to map any Google document, it's actually a Google spreadsheet that you can dynamically change, and then that will automatically update the map. So it's kind of like a workaround to creating your own database and instead using Google spreadsheets as a database. And it's really like, and we kind of go for open source and free kind of projects and resources and tools, because that's in the spirit of what we are practicing since we are in academics. So a lot of these tools are free to use, and we have really only attribution credits that we vouch for. So that's just some of the posts and introduction aspects. Now I just want to mention some projects. So there's Digital Karnak, which is something Lisa Snyder has done with Elaine Sullivan, who was formerly in the Sandbox, but now she's at UC Santa Cruz. And this is just essentially a 3D model of what Karnak may have looked like in various stages throughout its history. And if you're not familiar, it's a excavation or archaeological dig in Egypt, yeah. And yeah, it's a very well thought out and well researched project, because essentially you're modeling something that has not existed, and there's a lot of kind of scholarly articles that were used to generate like how certain columns were built and how certain areas were formulated and at what time during the Egyptian like leaders. So that's Digital Karnak, and then it's also related to the UCLA Encyclopedia of Egyptology. And so if you're interested in that, feel free to check out this project. There's other stuff like Hyperstudies, the book. So Todd Pressner, Dave Shepard, and Yo wrote a book, and then one of the projects in the Sandbox was to kind of create a companion piece. Hyperstudies is essentially the concept of fixed mapping, which you're layering a lot of different information from various sources, whether or not it's geographically accurate. It's essentially trying to visualize and not just map form maps. So there's a lot of historical maps that's used in Hyperstudies, the book, and then, well, not Hyperstudies, the book, hyperstudies.com. So hyperstudies.com is the website where you can kind of create your own narrative, and it's really a story-driven way of trying to create maps. And Hyperstudies, the book, is the companion piece to the website. And essentially, they had a book release earlier this year, like I think 2 months ago or a month ago. And the book is kind of an interactive component to the actual website. So it's kind of a recursive thing because the website went live and it's used throughout, and then the book came out, and then now there's a website for the book that's interactive. So it's kind of like, whoa. But if you're interested in checking out like new forms of mapping, this is one way to kind of explore it. And again, this is found in the project under Hyperstudies book. VSIM, it's another project. It's related to actually Digital Karnak in the sense that they both have visual 3D modeling components to it, and actually part of the Digital Karnak modeling was done in VSIM. And VSIM is just a 3D modeling software package tailored to academics. And essentially what you can do is you can create like a PowerPoint with kind of 3D navigation and add various what's called embedded resources or links to various pictures and other stuff outside of 3D model. So that's VSIM. You could check out this site too, and you could download it once you go there, and you can check it out. Again, we have this policy of really being open to kind of the public. We're not trying to close source everything, keep it to ourselves. Also, moving on, there's Bishamon, which Joe Kawano, who also works in the Sandbox, is actively engaged in research for the radiation disaster that happened in Japan in March 11, 2011. Essentially, he has gone to the area where this has occurred many times, and he's there right now, actually, to kind of measure the radiation and kind of disclose the levels of radiation for that area in a very transparent way by actually going out and measuring using this kind of tool called Bishamon, which is basically an unmanned robot with a GPS device and a radiation dosimeter. And that's kind of a leading component of the participatory mapping that Yo is doing. There is a website for it, but I don't see it here, so don't worry about that. We can share it to you later on. There's the Digital Roman Forum, which honestly I did not know too much about, and there's also the Encyclopedia of Egyptology, which I just mentioned earlier, and then there's also ZIG. So this project is a new project that started about 2 years, a year and a half ago, and it's a kind of foray into crowdsourced mapping. So yes, we have this participatory mapping aspect with Bishamon, but now we're trying to kind of tailor a map for people by people, and specifically ZIG is tailored for those with either visual disability or mobility impairment. So if they're in a wheelchair or in crutches. Essentially, what ZIG does is crowdsources information about the campus, UCLA, and tries to have that information accessible to other people that may be like having that specific disability. So for example, we have another person who works in the Sandbox, Muso, who's a second year student. She's blind, but she kind of gives a lot of information for other students, like regarding their surroundings at different parts of the campus. So specifically for other students that are blind. So that's what Zig is about. What the idea behind it is you type in a certain building or you type in a certain thing you're interested in, and then it pops up with a little bit of results, kind of like that. And then obviously the map isn't very useful for people that can't see, but the information that's there is really, we have 3 categories of what's around and suggestions for improvement, like if Braille is missing, or also the one other thing is like something about the description. Yes, please.
Lisa is visually challenged.
Mm-hmm.
How is she entering information to Zig, and how does it play back to someone who is also?
Okay, so the idea of Zig is that, the question was, how does a visually impaired person such as Lisa input information onto this platform? And so the answer to that is Zig is an online platform, so it's a web-based platform, and it's powered behind WordPress. So the way she enters in information is through her Bluetooth keyboard when she's on the field, or if she's here, she just types it on the computer. And then so the computer that she's equipped with has voice feedback, so it kind of talks back about like what field she's in and what like she's been typing in the text box. For users that are accessing Zig, the idea behind it being a web-based platform is that you should have a voice feedback too, so or something. And so when you access the website, this should all be readable from the computer. And that's kind of what we've tested so far, that it does work. And you just need to make sure that the users have that equipped. So there's no inbuilt or built-in function for feedback, like voice feedback, but maybe down the line. But it really is on the owner, on the impetus of the user to have the kind of software set up already. So that's kind of the flow behind that, at least for now. So you can also check out the Zig alpha version below here. It's very, we're not really keen on sharing this to the public at the moment because there's a lot of kinks that need to be worked out. But that I just included it here because if you're on the Sandblog, you have limited guest kind of exclusive access.
Can you
download
the alpha version?
Sure. The question was, can I demo the alpha version? So I've clicked the alpha version. This is the Zig alpha. So it's not even beta, it's really alpha. So you type in something like math sciences. Oops, there's nothing for math. Okay, math. Nothing, okay. Murphy. Mathematical. Oh, well, Murphy works. Mathematical might have worked too, actually. So here you have information on what's around, and you see that Nisa has versus post. And then he said maybe more information later on. But essentially, there's a lot of detail that goes into creating a specific kind of point, and these points are called zigs, which is why the kind of project is called zig. So each zig, for example, if it's an entrance, you have to name the entrance. You can't just say entrance 1, entrance 2, entrance 3. It has to be south entrance. Or if it's a main entrance, it's literally because the building has identified that as a main entrance. And then essentially, there's a lot of other information that's there. So this is what kind of zig looks like. And then if you click on a zig, you get kind of the post, and you can also leave a reply and comment. So this is like very alpha version. We want to streamline the comments and make it more like a Yelp interface or a Wave where you can kind of see live what's happening on campus for those that are in this community. So that's Zig so far. Yep. And yeah, so you can tell that this is a WordPress theme. And then the idea behind it is any other campuses or organizations that are interested in using or having a similar function can also download this theme and use it and adopt it for their own purposes. So that's Zig. Now I'm just going to mention a little bit about the tutorials that we have, because there's a lot of tutorials. So if you're interested in making maps, that's what a majority of these tutorials are about, mainly because there are a lot of like resources online that kind of are mainstream, and so these are also adopted for our purposes in research and consultation. So if you click on tutorials, you'll see a list of different things. These are kind of like descriptions of, so if, there's a new kind of field that's up and coming called digital humanities, and Yo and Lisa also talk and give presentations and even teaches courses there. And so this is like an introduction to mapping for digital humanities. And so essentially it's trying to tie in the humanities with technology. And so we kind of explain a lot of different resources that you can do and use, like how to look at LA in 3D on Google Earth, like really starting off with the history of kind of Chloroplast maps and trying to figure out where incidences of diseases are. And then there's also social media mapping. That's part of this whole package of digital humanities. And then disaster mapping. And then this Stanford has developed a complex data visualization called Paleo. And then there's Social Explorer, which if you've never used it, you really should, because we have it for free on campus. And it's like $70 or something like that if you aren't on campus. It's just a way to get census data, kind of agglomerate all the census data from 1790s up until today. So it has all that information there. And you can download it as an Excel file, or you could like have it in data if you're in statistics, or you could even use it in other tablet form. Anyways, and then the last thing is kind of coding your map from scratch. So if you are tired of seeing all these like visualizations and you want to do your own map, web-based map, this is a tutorial on that. And actually, it's the same tutorial that is linked to this Leaflet for Beginners right here. So instead of using Google Maps, there's this thing called Leaflet, and then essentially it looks like this. It's kind of like this. So if you want to create your own type of map like this, this tutorial kind of walks you through really the basics of coding, and then also just trying to see what possibilities are there if you are interested in kind of really learning coding for the first time. And Barack Obama coded his first line of code not too long ago, last week. So if you want to keep up with the president, then definitely you should check out at least some coding or programming. All right, so that's the first two tutorials, and then there's GIS. So if you're interested in really doing mapping on the desktop side of things, not on the web, this is what like a tutorial you can go into there. And then there's also building 3D maps, and then again Social Explorer. So there's that. And then I don't know how much, I didn't have like 10 minutes left, so I'm going to just leave off with these two last things. Lisa?
I know that you how to access consulting services. Can you describe a couple of instances of faculty consultations you've had?
Okay, sounds good. So the question was, we provide consulting services, so how may you go about doing such things in a very runabout manner? So that's a great segue into the next thing, which is where is the sandbox? Because in order to get some consultation, you can do it two ways. One is by knocking on our door, and the second way is by emailing us and setting an appointment. So the sandbox is actually below us in room 4328. And so we provide consulting services on about, I think, 4 to 3 hour basis per quarter, I think, for anyone who's interested. If it's anything longer than that, then we usually have to kind of set up not payback, but a recharge rate. So it's kind of like expensive. But for the most part, if we're interested in the project, it's like, yeah, we'll go ahead and work on it with you and then figure out like what's the best way to proceed. But this is a sandbox. Again, downstairs, there's a big red door. There's 3 rooms down there that have the exact same room number, so it might be confusing. Oh, it's in the Math Sciences building, 4328. And again, there's 3 rooms with the same room number, so look for the red door. But yeah, so to go about it, you just send an email to kind of set up a consultation. And if you want to have access to actual using the lab, you can request access to a Google form that we have. We're working on making it a live PDF where you can type in and then it'll email us directly. And so once that gets on, we'll probably have a link on our menu above. But this is, yeah, essentially what the sandbox is. And right. So some of the consultations that we've done, I just quickly came up with this first consultation annual wrap-up. So there's 2 things that I've been working on with the mapping aspect, and one of them is the kind of historical mapping of LA, and this is essentially a timeline of the 1930s to the 1940s. And what this is it's a dynamic thing where if you move the timeline, it will move the time this way, and then it will change the date range, and then the map will also reflect those changes. So if you zoom in to like a specific date, the map will also change according to that area you zoomed in. So I'm actually working on another tutorial to create, if you want to make your own timeline and have the same function, this tutorial will also be kind of online. It's way more complicated than it looks. So the tutorial is getting kind of long, but if you are interested, again, this uses a Google spreadsheet kind of dynamic database. If you have your own API or if you have your own kind of data source, you can also easily use that. But this is what one of the consultation projects with the Center for Jewish Studies. So a postdoc came and was like, oh, I want to do this for a project. So I said, okay, let's try and visually show it on the map and temporally kind of explain it. So that was that. Another project with the humanities department was the LA River, or the Play LA River project. And so essentially they have 56 decks of cards. They have like 4 wild cards or something. And for each of those cards, they have activity for sites along the LA River. And then they had like a really good graphic designer create each of those cards, and then they want to replicate that online. So in order to do that, we kind of explored different sources and how to customize your maps and stuff. We eventually went with Mapbox/Leaflet, which is a, again, online mapping thing, kind of library. And so we were able to kind of replicate as much as possible. Well, you can't really see it because it's cut out, but like the card. So we kind of made a layout for the web map. So this map here that's embedded on their website, you can kind of pan around, and it has kind of almost the exact same styling, same font as the cards that they have created. So they're really happy with that, and we're kind of in the final stages, and next, I think, month we will roll out with all the cards being online. So those are 2 consultation type things. Again, they're more map-oriented. We are a campus resource, so when people have trouble trying to map things, they come to us because honestly, maps are, I'm not saying they're like an important thing, but they are a good tool, like any technology, to kind of visualize certain things. So that, I think, is all for the consultation. And then, one last thing I want to leave off is the tools. So we have these 2 tools, geocode for free. Essentially, if you type in some address like UCLA, it will, and you click geocode, it will give you the lat and longitude here. And then it will also give you it as a KML file if you want to use it in a Google Map, or Google Earth, or Google Maps even. And it will also put it on the map. So you can check the accuracy of your point. So that's one thing that we've included as a tool we created. And another is a get lat long. So if you just type in, again, type in UCLA, it's very similar in function. to that previous tool, except what it does is down here it creates the lat and longitude. So if you just want one address, this is useful for that. But if you want multiple, then the previous tool. Because for the other tool, all you need, if you have like 2 addresses, for example, you could just do UCLA and then type in a zip code, 94425, and something, and then it will just give you both of those addresses. So 9025 is in Brentwood, and then you'll see if you put onto the map that it's there, like that. All right, so that's it. Those are the tools. We have the tutorials and the projects. And if you are interested in consultation with Sandbox, feel free to either speak to me or email us. And you can also even knock on the door.